It was a blazing hot Saturday morning when I decided to water my well-tended hydrangeas. Dressed in just a pair of shorts and a sleeveless undershirt, the kind perfect for sweltering summer days, I headed outside. Since the sprinkler system was on the fritz, I was watering them by hand. The sun was relentless, and sweat rolled down my back as I carried out what had become my peaceful weekend routine. I was minding my own business on my own property. Then, slicing through the calm, like a siren, came that voice, the one that had made life miserable in our neighborhood for months. Excuse me, what do you think you're doing?" I turned to see Karen Wilcox, president of our HOA, marching onto my lawn with a folder gripped like a weapon. "That outfit is completely inappropriate. Cover yourself at once," she barked, thrusting a paper full of HOA rules in my face. I stood there holding my garden hose, stunned by her intrusion. "Karen, I'm on my own property," I said coolly, intentionally using her name. It suited her behavior a little too. "Well, please leave." "I will not," she snapped. "As HOA president, I have every right to enforce the community guidelines. You're in violation." What happened next would shift the neighborhood's power balance forever. She refused to go, continuing her tirade about decency and property values. But within 20 minutes, it was Karen, not me, being led off my lawn in handcuffs by 2 police officers, clearly used to this kind of drama. I moved into Oakwood Estates 3 years ago, drawn in by its clean common areas and the easy commute to work. At first, the HOA seemed reasonable. Modest fees and a board focused on community events like pool maintenance and block parties. But 6 months ago, Karen Wilcox was elected president after running a fierce campaign to restore order. From day one, she treated the role like a personal mission to control every facet of our lives. It started with petty complaints, grass slightly too tall, trash cans left out too long. Then came her infamous neighborhood inspections, clipboard in hand, citing infractions that didn't even exist in the bylaws. I became a personal target when I declined to join her so-called beautification committee, a front for gathering gossip and making lists of neighbors she didn't like. Since then, I'd often catch her glaring from her porch whenever I stepped outside in my usual summer clothes. Funny how she never cared when her own husband mowed the lawn shirtless. For weeks, I tolerated her passive-aggressive remarks. "Some of us still dress decently," she'd say just loud enough, or "It's a shame when people don't care how our neighborhood looks." I didn't engage, figuring that arguing would only fuel her obsession. But that Saturday, she finally crossed the line. I was adjusting the sprinkler when I noticed her heading straight toward me, folder in hand, fury written all over her face. She didn't stop at the property line. No, Karen stormed right up to me, invading my space with the kind of entitlement you almost had to admire. "Your outfit is degrading property values and setting a bad example for the children," she snapped, glaring at my undershirt like it was offensive. "The HOA has standards, Jacob. You will comply." I took a slow breath. "Karen, I've read the bylaws. There's nothing in them about what residents can wear on their own property." That's when she pulled out her phone and began filming me. "This is documentation," she announced, as if she were a detective gathering evidence. "This will be presented at the next board meeting when we vote on the dress code amendment I've submitted." "Karen," I said firmly, backing away. "You're trespassing and you're recording me without permission. I'm asking you to leave, now." My voice was calm, but inside I was furious. This wasn't about my shirt anymore. It was about personal boundaries being stomped all over. Rather than leave, she stepped even closer to my front door. "I have every right to be here," she insisted. "This is official HOA business." She opened her folder and pointed to a section highlighted in yellow. Section 4, paragraph 2, she read, "Grants board members access to inspect properties." What Karen didn't know was that I'm a paralegal. I've studied enough property law to spot when someone's twisting the rules to suit their agenda. The section she was quoting. It applied only to shared community areas and required scheduled inspections with prior written notice, not spontaneous visits to private homes. I calmly corrected her. "That clause doesn't give you the right to enter someone's private property whenever you feel like it. And now for the last time, I'm asking you to leave," she sneered. "Or what? You're going to call the police? Do you even know who my husband is? He's close friends with the police chief." That was her fatal mistake. Without missing a beat, I pulled out my phone. "Yes, actually, that's exactly what I'm going to do." I began recording as I dialed 911. Karen's expression shifted. First confusion, then disbelief, as though it had never occurred to her that someone might stand up to her. "You wouldn't dare," she muttered. But there was a crack of doubt in her voice now. "911, what's your emergency?" came the operator's voice through my speaker. I have someone trespassing on my property who refuses to leave after multiple requests, I said evenly, never breaking eye contact with Karen, whose face was now an impressive display of red and purple hues. Go ahead, call them, she shouted loud enough for the dispatcher to hear. Tell them I'm the HOA president trying to enforce our standards against an indecent resident. Sir, do you feel threatened? The dispatcher asked. Yes, I responded. She's being aggressive and ignoring repeated demands to leave my property. We're dispatching officers now, the dispatcher said. Please try to avoid further confrontation until they arrive. Karen seemed to believe the police would automatically take her side. She stayed put, ranting about neighborhood values and filming me like she was the one gathering evidence. I didn't move. I just stood there with the garden hose in one hand and my phone in the other, still recording. Roughly 10 minutes later, a police cruiser pulled up. The shift in Karen's behavior was instant. Her voice softened and she greeted the two officers, a man and a woman, with a forced smile. The female officer addressed us first. What seems to be the issue here? Before I could reply, Karen jumped in. I'm Karen Wilcox, president of the Oakwood Estates HOA. I'm conducting official business. This resident is violating our community dress code, she said, gesturing dramatically at my sleeveless shirt as though I was wearing something obscene. I asked Miss Wilcox to leave my property several times, I explained calmly. She refused and became confrontational. I have the entire incident recorded if you'd like to review it. I handed them my phone. They watched a portion of the video and the male officer turned to Karen. Ma'am, regardless of your position, you do not have the right to stay on someone's private property after being asked to leave. That's trespassing. Karen looked momentarily shaken but tried to compose herself. But I have the authority, as HOA president. The HOA doesn't override state law, the female officer cut in sharply. And HOA rules don't cancel out a homeowner's right to their own property. I need you to leave. Now. That should have ended it. Any reasonable person would have accepted the warning and walked away. But Karen wasn't reasonable. Instead, she squared her shoulders and snapped, I'm not leaving until he agrees to follow our standards. This is a clear breach of Section 12, paragraph. Karen began again, but the male officer cut her off, his tone sharper now. Ma'am, this is your final warning. Leave the property immediately or we will arrest you for trespassing. Karen looked absolutely stunned. You can't be serious. I'm trying to protect this neighborhood's property values. Don't you know who my husband is? The two officers exchanged a knowing glance. The kind that said we've dealt with this type before. Calm but firm, the female officer stepped forward. Ma'am, put your phone down and place your hands behind your back. What? No, this is outrageous. I'm the victim here, Karen shouted, stumbling backward. What happened next was part cringe, part poetic justice. Still clinging to her beloved HOA folder, Karen tried to avoid arrest, but the officers remained, composed and professional, restraining her as they read her Miranda rights. Meanwhile, curious neighbors started emerging from their homes. A few began filming, and I swear I caught more than one person trying not to laugh. This is a mistake. I'm the HOA president. You can't do this to me, Karen protested as they led her to the police car. He's the one breaking the rules. Look at what he's wearing. After securing her in the back seat, the male officer approached me. Sir, I'm sorry for the trouble. You might be contacted to give a formal statement down at the station. I nodded, still a bit stunned. Thank you. I really appreciate it. As the cruiser pulled away, Karen still ranting from the back seat, I stood there in my shorts and sando, garden hose in one hand and phone in the other, surrounded by a small crowd of neighbors who had just witnessed her spectacular fall from grace. 3 days later, I received a call from the police. Karen had officially been charged with criminal trespassing, harassment, and disorderly conduct. She faced a $2,000 fine and possible community service. The HOA didn't waste any time either. They held an emergency meeting and voted to suspend her as president pending the outcome of her case. But the real twist? Karen, it turns out, was a real estate agent. News of her arrest made the local paper, complete with a photo of her being escorted to the police car. Her employer placed her on administrative leave. When I saw her at the courthouse during her preliminary hearing, her face twisted with a mix of rage and shame. Through clenched teeth, she hissed at me, "You ruined my life over a shirt." The judge, unimpressed by her outburst, promptly raised her bail by another $500. If you find this story interesting, like and share your experience like this. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comment section and like, comment, share. I hope you enjoy this video and see you in the next one.